Hello, my name is Michael Talbert. I'm chairman of the Smith County Democratic Party. I'm here with Precinct 1 Commissioner.
Nope.
Precinct 4 Commissioner.
Correct. You would think after 18 years you would know that.
Well, it's the number 1 precinct.
Okay.
But it is Precinct 4 Commissioner Joanne Hampton and Ambra Phillips with Tyler United.
Hello.
As you all know, it is election season, and we are here to make sure that you are an informed voter. So we'd like to answer some commonly, frequently asked questions, just kind of discuss issues and make sure that everyone is informed and know what's going on. So we've got a few questions here, and we're going to just jump right in. Amber, one of the questions that I hear people ask a lot is, does our vote matter in Texas? Can you share your thoughts on that?
Of course, your vote matters in Texas, and that's why everyone needs to make sure that they vote. No matter what you hear or any misinformation that you may have or any intimidation tactics that you've seen, nothing will stop your vote from counting. We just need to make sure that we do things in the proper way. We need to make sure that we vote correctly. If we're going to the polls, which you will have election workers there to help you with that. And if you're doing a mail-in ballot, you just need to be clear of the steps that you have to take so we can do them correctly. And we will give you more information about that as well.
Well, I keep hearing Texas is a red state, but from what I saw in the 2018 election, the margin in that election was 2.5%. So that's a swing state. Mm-hmm. That all comes down to turnout. If the people that show up for this election are going to determine the destiny of this country.
Absolutely.
And that's true in any election. So, but as Amber said, you want to make sure you actually turn out to vote. You know, we can register people all day long, but if you don't turn up at the polls starting on October the 13th through October the 30th for early voting, and if you miss those days, then you can always go on election day. But the main thing is to vote.
Okay, you mentioned the date. Today is October 7th, so early voting starts 1 week from today, Tuesday, October 13th at 8 a.m. There are 7 early voting locations throughout Smith County. We have vote centers. You can vote at any one of those locations. If you go to our website, which is smithdems.org, that's Smith as in Smith County, Dems as in Democrats.org, we have a section on voting that lists early voting locations. There's a section on 2020 nominees that lists all of the nominees so that you can get informed, know who the nominees are. There is a link to sample ballots in case you want to see what the ballots are. There is a direct link from our website to the county's election website where you can download that information for your voting precinct.
And you can always go to smith-county.com and go to our elections office and find that information. Or you can call our elections office and ask for sample ballots or ask any questions you need to ask as far as the election is concerned.
And if you are unable, you're not familiar with social media or able to do things online, I will bring you a ballot. So a sample ballot. So everyone knows how to get in touch with me. My phone number is 903-279-3773. So I will also be able to bring you any sample information that you need.
Okay. Another question I hear asked is, will my vote be counted? You know, there are some people that are concerned about early voting ballots being treated different than election day. So first, let's dispel that rumor. They are the same machines. We have machines designated for early voting, and we have machines designated for election day. They all are processed in the same exact way, so please, please, please vote early. You know, one of the reasons that the governor decided to add 6 days of early voting was to avoid the rush, to give more space, more time for people to get in and early vote. So please get in and early vote to avoid lines or crowds or any of that.
And even if you do not vote early, remember you can always vote on election day. But the number one thing is to remember, the earlier you vote, the better. We have prepared everything so you will be safe. We have hand sanitizer, we have gloves, we have masks, we have anything that you need to feel safe in order to go vote. We have the separation of the 6 feet. All that has been taken care of by our elections office, whether you go to the main office or whether you go to one of our satellite offices. We still practice safe distancing.
And to piggyback off of what they said, if you can vote early, that's great. If not, because you never know what could come up on election day, and you don't want to wait until the last day, and that's the only day you have, and you get there, and the lines are possibly long, and you are discouraged. So if you can, please take advantage of one of those early voting days.
And if you're disabled and you can't get out of your car, just pull up to curbside. There'll be a number that you can call, and someone will bring a voting machine out to you, and you can vote right there in your car.
Okay. Another topic that I've heard mentioned, we had a very competitive primary on the Democratic side for president. And it was long and contentious. People are concerned, what if my first choice didn't win? What if I'm not enthusiastic about our nominee? What are your thoughts on that?
Are you talking to, which way are you talking? Just as far as Biden?
What would your answer be to a person
to
who's
vote?
thinking that?
Just go vote. Yeah, the main thing is to vote. We want to make sure people understand, go vote. Do the research. Read all the information about all the nominees, and then make your choice as to who you want to vote for.
The 2016 presidential election was basically determined in 3 states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. In each one of those states, it came down to less than a percentage point difference. In some cases, third-party candidates got more than the margin of victory in that election. So every single vote counts. Voting a protest vote is a vote for the status quo. So we need every single person to come to the polls, vote consistently Democratic.
I'm just going to remind you to go vote. That's what's important. And I think if you're not sure about who you want to vote for, if you need additional information, I will tell you to go to either party office, get the information, and then decide from there who's the best person for you to make a choice for to vote. But the most important thing of all is to cast your vote. Do not let anyone deter you from voting. If you're not sure, as Amber said, you can get in contact with her, you can contact me, you can contact Michael, you can also contact David Stein at the Republican office. But the main thing is to remember, your vote counts. People have won elections by 1 vote. So always exercise that right.
And I just want to say, if it's not your pick, don't make it personal. Look at their policy and make sure that you think about the things that are better for you, better for your family, better for your community. You're not only voting for yourself, you are voting for your neighbor as well.
And remember, the person that you pick, his appointees are to the Supreme Court, to all the courts within the country, will be there for a lifetime. Those are lifetime appointments. Your decisions matter.
Okay. What if, there are a lot of elections on this ballot: president, U.S. Senate, Congress. At the state level, we've got several elections: the state Senate, state House. We've got some county commissioner positions. We've got some JP positions. And because the municipal elections were postponed, we also have the city council elections on there. What should a person do if they don't know all of the people on the ballot? Is the first question. And the reason I ask that is partly because, as you know, the Texas legislature has eliminated straight ticket voting. So instead of tapping that one button and then going through and reviewing all of your choices, you have to go through and individually tap your selection for each one of those races and scroll through the screen. So for somebody who doesn't know the nominees, what would you suggest they do to get informed?
Well, first of all, you need to know before you get to the election office who's on the ballot. So that's what the sample ballots come into play. Number two, you need to do your research about the candidates that are out there so you will be familiar with them before you go to the election office. But you've got to start at the top of the ticket and work your way all the way down to the very last page in your ballot. Do not skip one page. Go through, because you have to go through each name. So you start with the president and you go all the way down to your city council elections or your fire emergency service district elections or whatever. But you go through that whole ballot because you cannot just punch one button and take care of everybody. You have your partisan elections and you have your nonpartisan elections. Your nonpartisan elections are at probably the last page of the ballot. So remember, start at the top and go all the way to the bottom, from the first page to the last page. Do not stop until you have totally, completely voted on every page, then review, and then push that button that says submit.
My suggestion would be you go to their website, find the information that they have, but of course, all of those things are going to say great things, so maybe you can get in touch with somebody that they know if it's a local election. Maybe you can reach out and try to speak to them. So just make sure you do your research and don't stop at the top. That's what we want to remind everybody through this entire election. Don't stop at the top. Get down to the bottom. So do your research, ask questions. You may even reach out to them. You never know. They may reach back out to you and you may be able to ask them questions for yourself.
Okay. Next, will I have to wait in line?
There's a possibility that if you wait to the last minute, you will definitely have to wait in line. And even if you are waiting in line, just remember, you still have opportunities while you're in that line to look at no cell phones at the polling location. Remember, you cannot take your cell phones in there, but you can still research those people and take it on a piece of paper with you to the polling location. And Amber, I'd ask this question because it comes up all the time. Millennials, I mean, what are your concerns? People say millennials don't vote. We want to make sure we encourage our millennials to go vote as well.
I think this year they seem to be more involved. We're starting to wake up and realize how important this is. The older we get, a lot of us understand that this doesn't just affect the next 4 years of our life. It will affect us and our children's lives as well. So my organization is actually going to provide water and snacks on election day, just in case the lines are long. It will be somebody out there to give you things so you don't get famished. Remember, if you are in line by the time the polls close, you will get to vote. But that's again why we want to go back and encourage early voting. But millennials absolutely know that we are the most powerful generation alive, and we have the power to move any election. So we need to make sure that we're doing our part. Show up, like I said, it'll be people from my organization there with water, snacks to keep us going throughout the day.
You said the most powerful generation.
Alive.
How do you realize that power?
Numbers do not lie. So we are the greatest generation alive at the moment. So that makes us the most powerful.
But you can only be powerful if you go vote.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because power comes in numbers. Numbers make change. So you've got to vote so that people will know you mean what you say.
And I always say, you hear a lot of things now implying that your vote doesn't count, or just if you pay attention to all the tactics being put in place to suppress our vote. Anything that someone tries to remove or take away, you have to know it's powerful, or else they wouldn't bother you about it. So just make sure that you realize how powerful and important your vote is, because that's your voice.
Okay. And that power comes from choosing your representatives, because those representatives are going to be at the meetings, making decisions on our behalf. So if we're the ones that select them and we're the ones that are holding them accountable, then that's where the power comes from.
Well, you also got to remember, you can elect them, but don't leave them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hold them accountable. That means you need to go see them. You need to talk to them. You need to make sure that they're voting the way you want them to vote when they're having those meetings.
Okay. All right. And then one more thing about voting before we switch over a little bit here. Is it safe to vote in person?
Yes, it is safe to vote in person. We've taken here at the county, we've taken all the necessary precautions to make sure people feel safe when they go in our polling locations to vote. And as I said, we have the hand sanitizer, we have the gloves, we have the mask, we have the distancing so people won't be close together. Again, please go vote early. There are 7 polling locations. You can vote anywhere in Smith County. Just exercise your right to do that.
And I actually voted. I actually was a poll worker for the last election after the pandemic had started. And as Commissioner said, we had everything in place. No one said anything about feeling like we didn't take the correct precautions or felt like we didn't sanitize. We had gloves, we had masks, we had hand sanitizer, and we had distancing. So we absolutely are doing everything that we can to keep all of us safe so that we can vote.
All right. Okay, so we know that mail voting is safe, or I'm sorry, voting in person is safe. But for those people who choose to vote by mail, there are 4 basic justifications or qualifications to be able to vote by mail. 1 is to be over 65 on election day. 2 is to be incarcerated. 3 would be to be out of the county during early voting and on election day. And number 4 would be to claim a disability. So those first 3 are pretty obvious. The 4th one, the disability. The law essentially says that a disability is something that a person feels that going to in-person voting would be a hazard to their health. So for anybody that chooses to vote by mail and claims a disability and fills out the application, they can vote by mail. Commissioner has a sample of what that material looks like. Several people have already started receiving their mail ballots in these green envelopes, so I'll turn that over to you, Commissioner.
Okay, so we mailed these out starting last Thursday. This is your election mail. It says official election mail. This is for your ballot by mail. This is your ballot. It's in this green envelope. When you receive it, you will open the green envelope, and when you open the green envelope, you will also see a page of instructions that will tell you how to fill out your ballot and what you need to do and what envelope to put everything back in. So once you've completed your ballot, you place your ballot in the ballot envelope. That's this white envelope is where your ballot goes.
And seal it.
And seal it, of course. Then you place the white envelope inside of the yellow envelope, which is what you will mail back to the county or bring to the county. Once you've placed it in there, you seal it, and on the back it says seal envelope, and there is a place for you to sign. You sign your name on this line, seal it, place your stamp on it, and place it in the mailbox to be mailed back to the county or hand deliver it to the elections office at 302 East Ferguson Street. It's so simple. All instructions are included, but if you have questions, always feel free to call our election office at 903-590-4777.
And in addition to that, remember that if you do bring the ballot in person, the voter has to actually turn it in.
Along with ID. You have to have your identification when you bring it back in person.
Okay, thank you for that information. After the runoff election, I got a phone call at our party office. A voter's ballot had been rejected because he had forgotten to sign the yellow carrier envelope. In the past, that would have meant that his vote was not counted because he did not sign it. If the signature was determined to not match his application to vote by mail, they could have not counted his vote because of that. Well, there's been a ruling from the courts, and they've said that a voter must be given the opportunity to cure that issue. So we're working with the county right now to iron out those rules to make sure that that is implemented. But it is important to avoid getting in that position that you read the instructions, follow the instructions, fill the ballot out completely, double check it. Make sure that the choices that you've made are reflected on that ballot. fill everything out, make sure everything is clear. Close the carrier envelope, the white envelope. You know, once you place your ballot in it, seal it, and then put that into the yellow carrier envelope. Seal it, sign it, and put a stamp on it. You know, if you have any doubts about whether it's going to make it in time in the mail, you are welcome to come down to the elections office and turn that in ahead of time. There are some people who have received a mail ballot and they've changed their mind. They decide that they prefer to vote in person. There is a procedure to do that.
And what we encourage them to do, if you request a ballot by mail and change your mind, when you get it, bring it with you on election day, early voting, whatever, to the elections office or wherever you go to vote, and tell them, I've changed my mind about voting by mail. They will allow you to vote at that polling location. And they will take the ballot from you and destroy it. Also, if you get there and say, you know you're registered, you want to vote, you know, insist upon it, you can always vote a provisional ballot, and you can always bring your ID back and the county will verify it. But please, under all circumstances, vote. Vote that provisional ballot. Once everything is closed up on it and made sure, bring your necessary information back and they will count your ballot.
Okay. Any additional things you all would like to discuss? I've got a couple of websites, a phone number here in case people have any questions as far as voting locations, but any other topics that you guys get asked about?
That's basically the ones that, you know, that you've asked today. Those are the questions that we get asked all the time. People are now hand delivering their ballots to the office because they are concerned with all the things that's been in the media. But a lot of times things happen in larger states that do not happen in our local county election. So we want to bear in mind that, you know, we do live in East Texas. We do know we've had some problems from time to time. But remember, we are providing a safe place for you to come and vote.
And I just want to say, use your resources, which are us. If you have questions, if you're not sure about something, if you're not confident about something, reach out to us, and we are all willing to help you however we can. We just want to make sure that you vote, and we need you to vote for the people who care about the things that you care about.
Okay. One of the websites I'd like to share with you is mytexasvotes.com. That is an online voting hub provided through the Texas Democratic Party. And then there's also a voter assistance hotline at 844-TX-VOTES. 844-TX-VOTES. So if you have any issues at any one of the polling locations, feel free to call that number for assistance.
And if you're not sure about using the county voting machines or anything that pertains to Smith County, you can always go to our website, which is www.smith-county.com. We have videos out there for you to look at, and all that will tell you how to vote. If you're worried about the machines or anything, you can always call my office. As Amber said, you can call Amber, you can call Michael, you can call David Stein at the Republican Party office. Your questions will be answered.
Remember, early voting is October 13th through the 30th, and election day is November 3rd. We will see you at the polls.
Okay. And you mentioned those dates. Let's review those right quick. Early voting starts Tuesday, October 13th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. that Tuesday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is the week, the 4 days that have been added before traditional early voting. The second week of early voting is that Monday at 8 a.m. through 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the 7 early voting locations. Mm-hmm. Then on Sunday, is it from noon to 5?
Noon to 5.
Noon to 5 at the 7 early voting locations. And then the last week of early voting is Monday from 7 a.m. until Friday at 7 p.m. at all 7 of the early voting locations.
So if you can't make it during the week because you work, you always have Saturday and Sunday to come and vote. If you're concerned about those dates, we will list them on Facebook at a later time, and you can always call my office, or you can call the elections office, and they will give you those dates and times.
And incidentally, you know, people are wanting to make sure that their ballots have been received. The elections administrator, as they're receiving the mail ballots in, they enter those into their system, and there is a site that they upload that to the Secretary of State's website to keep track of how many ballots have come in. Also, early voting data, that's uploaded to the Secretary of State, so that is available. We're keeping track of what the turnout is. We know who's voted. We'll be contacting people to answer questions, make sure that they have all that they need to vote, so please get out and vote early.
Go vote.
Go vote.
Thank you.